We're live.
We're live.
You're not supposed to ask that.
Are we live?
This is the awkward time where you ask if we're live.
Are
and
we
you say,
live?
yes, we're
How about now? Can we change the volume? Can we change the picture? Can we change the lighting? What else can we do? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Chris. You got a jacket on that makes me nervous.
It's cold outside.
Yeah. We're doing a Wednesday again. I think I like this. They keep people on their toes. I don't want to get too scheduled, too regimented. Somebody brought up a pretty decent idea, or maybe it was you, Bryce, that brought up an idea of we should have a format. I don't know about formats. Formats seem to make me feel like I'm trying too hard. I like to just wing it. I don't want to set an expectation that I can't fulfill. So that's why we just we do it this way, where it's just random. Now I do have some additional thoughts. I'll probably do a solo podcast here coming up. I'm going to talk about a subject that's been bothering me, which is new products. Like random new ceramic spray products is the most extreme example of something that bothers me a bit, and I'll be giving my take on that coming up here soon. But I thought this was going to be a really bad podcast, but I'm feeling good. We got a project done. My subwoofer works. It wasn't working. I'd planned on coming in at like 7:30 this morning, just putting the sub in, boom, wham, bam, done. No, we just finished it like 20 minutes ago. So 4 more hours into day 4 of the subwoofer, and it's good to go. But it sounds awesome, so that's good news.
And you're getting more of them? Is that right?
Yeah. What I'll do, so I have a JLF F113. I have a JTR 4000 ULF, which is that monster subwoofer. Now I have this one. I have the E-sub that I have out in my garage. Now I have 4 subs. What I want all matching subs in the home theater. So the F113 and the JTR are going to come out of the home theater and go either somewhere or to somebody else. Excuse me. And then, so I'm going to do 4 of this sub that I just made in all 4 corners of the home theater, and then we'll decide whether I bring the JTR sub here, which I'm probably going to have to sell it. It's a freaking monster. It'll be great for HQ 3.0. It's dual 18s. The box is like 48 inches deep by 24 inches wide by 50 inches tall. It's big.
It weighs like 200 pounds, something.
No, it's like the high 3s. It's big. It's big and it's stout. It's a big ported box.
So that's for the home theater. Did you get the new TV? Is that on the way? Did it show up?
Got that yesterday, so I got to install that. So I'll probably leave here after this and go work on that, and do something stupid and try to mount it myself. It's 77. It's stout, man. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move the couch up another foot, which will help acoustically. It'll basically render the room useless, but move the couch up another foot and get a little closer to the display. I was going to do a projector, but I decided to do the just the larger screen. I bought it from Newegg, some merchant on Newegg.com for $4,700. It's $7,000 TV. So showed up, we powered it on before the guys that dropped it off left. So hopefully I don't have a warranty issue, because I'm probably screwed if that happens. But I wasn't even searching for a deal. I was going to go buy it for $7,000 from Best Buy, and then as I Google searched, this flash sale thing popped up, and that's got to be like within $100 of cost, and then shipping was free. Just stupid. I mean, how much could that company have possibly made? Shipping was at least $300, $400 to that company, and so, I mean, TVs don't have that much margin. I mean, figure if it was $7,000 and they had, even if they had 40% margin, which there's no way, that'd be $2,800. So do the math on that there, right? That's $5,100. No,
not quite. 4,200.
Yeah, $4,200, and they sold it for $47. So yeah, they probably made $80. So anyway, that's the home theater story. I'm pumped. So I'm going to be taking the fan out, which I never use, putting another cloud acoustic panel like what we have in here, like what's behind me, and then I'm going to change the lights to a 3,000 Kelvin light. I hope that works. I made a huge mistake in there, and then I did J-box type LEDs, and they're junk. They make lots of light, but the quality of light is garbage. And yeah, then the home theater, just changed the remote to the Logitech Harmony Ultimate, the newest version. And yeah, so I'm gonna have it really set up again. I'd like to change things.
All right. So then, before we get to the car stuff and OG stuff, do you wanna tell our computer nerds out here about the new computer you've got that we're working with today?
I'm a little
excited about that.
A little embarrassed by this one. Well, here's the problem. The yard sale happened. We made quite a bit of money, and I've spent that, whatever I made, like 4 times over. We were having issues with using the laptop. The thing is humming. You guys could probably, if you listen closely, you could hear the darn fan going on my laptop. And I got tired of carrying the laptop here, so I put a iMac Pro in place here. It's a 10-core, 64 gig. 6 gig of RAM, 1 terabyte solid state drive. The thing is stout. So now, Bryce was saying, we were running like 80% CPU usage when running the live stream. Now we're using 7. So we got a lot of headroom. My emails are flying. so that's a good thing. Got that set up. I thought it was going to take me all week to get it set up. I set it up like an hour. So I rewired everything, got it set up, and the thing is legit. Yeah, I tried to get greedy, and I wanted to put the 27-inch 5K LG display next to it, but it just looks better having just the computer by itself, because I have the big screen, which I don't think you guys can see on camera, but there's a screen right here next to me that it's a 43-inch 4K display that we use for the podcast. So yeah, I'm pumped about that, and we'll be using that iMac forever, so we'll be needing it for when we build the actual podcast studio coming up.
All right, question here. The last round of videos, I think we're still in the Adam LZ GT3 RS series.
Yeah, I'm bored with that already. I want to get on with the next one. Will this last video come up tonight?
Yeah, it should be the last one.
Okay, and I've got a bunch of footage on backlog here, right? We've got what do we do? The 1M exhaust. We did. I've got like 4 or 5 videos. I'm not normally this way. It's normally real time. So maybe we should start doing 2 videos a day. Let's step it up, Bryce.
Well, related to that, we had a couple questions on that video, on that series with Adam's car. Do you prefer block or microfiber applicator for ceramic application? I saw Billing using.
I don't like those. I don't like those things. Those little microfiber spongy things. I don't know. I don't like it. Maybe I should. It is easier to use those. I like the traditional suede applicator. I don't know why. It's more difficult to use. I just feel like I have more control over the suede applicator. I feel like I use a lot less product. But the pros have seemed to transition to using these, the spongy block thingers. So I know a lot of people probably prefer that, but I still prefer the traditional type, suede applicator.
Did you prefer the PPF install on Adam's new car over the one you have on yours?
Yes.
What's the if someone's looking to get that done for their car? I know it varies by model, all that stuff, but approximately what's the cost when you're looking to do something
what
like
we
that?
What we did to Adams was about $4,500 because we didn't do the whole car. And people get all bent on shit. You need to do the whole car. Doing the whole car, I think, is a waste. I guess in like 10 years you could see some color difference, if you remove the film. But I mean, the amount of this car is going to sit in the sun is going to be pretty minimal. So if you did the whole car, you're somewhere between, I think Esoteric would have charged $7,500 to do my whole car. Ryan, would have charged $8 to do, the whole car, and so it was like $4,500 worth of film, to do what we did to it.
All right, tell us about your trip. Last time we were here, you were on your way the next day to go to Dine-In and Sonic. So what happened there?
Yeah, I went up to Auburn, Alabama, and Trevor picked me up from. It was pretty cool. Trevor works for Delta, and I get off the plane, and he's standing. Like when you get off, there's the catwalk thing, and I get off, and he's standing right there, and we just walk out that door. The door where the baby seats go, and and they grab the check bag and they take it off the side. So we walked down the steps, got in a Delta truck, and then drove who knows where back in the nether regions of the Delta facility, and then headed out. So I thought that was pretty cool. felt like the president or something. So we then went down to Auburn, and I hung out with the guys from Sonic for the day. Got to dig into MSS Plus, and so I didn't do a good job on the video, so the video is going to be crappy, but I'm going to put it up anyway, so you can get a better glimpse into the Sonic MSS Plus line. Ironed out some other things, like we're going to have a bag, like a travel bag, a tool bag. We're going to have little kits, like for instance at my house I've got tools here, I've got tools in the wash bay, and then I don't have any tools in the house, and sometimes inevitably it's pouring down rain and I need a screwdriver. And so we're going to have some OG specific kits, little handheld kits. You might like that.
Yeah.
A little simple little travel kit, or a little carrying case with essential tools in it. So we're going to do that, and it'll probably have some OG labeling on it. So I'm going to have those. And I got to dig into like their torque wrenches and stuff like that. So I'm really pumped about the partnership that I have with Sonic and what we're going to do. The only tricky part is, and I understand why, I wanted to be able to publish on the website very plain, very, very clear what the pricing of MSS Plus is. But for competitive reasons, they just don't want to do that. And so it's going to have to be by email only, by discussion only for pricing. It'll work out to be about 2x the cost of MSS. But you'll see, it's amazing. Right now, the other disappointing thing is they don't have black yet. They only have gray. It's like a dark gray, like a greenish dark gray, which is really cool. It's like a VW specific color, and so the blacks will be out, later this year. We can get it in whatever custom color you want. It costs a lot, but they can make it in. There was one cabinet that was Ferrari red. Some whatever Lusso Corsa or whatever the heck the Italian name is for Rosa Corsa or something like that was painted. Somebody had done. But yeah, the Sonic line is really, really sweet. You'll see when I show you, their toolboxes are cool. So I was able to see they have a S8, S9, S10, S11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I was able to see them all and assess, which one would you want if you're going to buy one. And so I'll be sharing all of that stuff in more product-specific videos, coming up here, and so I got to become the next step in becoming an expert in the line of products, so that I can provide people with the information needed to make an educated purchase. It's amazing getting access to this stuff that I've always dreamt to have access to, and now I've got even more access that I never asked for, because the audience, people listening to this, help me, provide me that leverage. And then we went over and did a couple hour tour of Dynan APR. For those of you who don't know, Steve Dynan, BMW tuner, started Dynan, I don't know, in the 80s and 90s. And then APR was started by a couple of guys from Auburn. And so Dynan was in Morgan, California, or Morganville, or something like that. So in Northern California, APR is in Auburn. APR gets bought but at a very, very similar time as Dynan was bought from Steve Dynan. So the founders of APR sold to a private equity firm. That same firm bought Dynan. They've since bought. This is the second private equity firm that's now involved that it's been sold again. So they combined Holly Carbs, which owns a lot of other conglomerates. I think they own Flowmaster and stuff like that. Hearst, B&M shifters, all that stuff. And so Holly's actually the biggest of them all. And so they've combined Dynan and APR and put it in Auburn. So they moved Dynan from there. So I was able to kind of run through the chaos of them rebuilding this now combined company, and having it is interesting to see how they're sharing and not sharing. They're sharing some technologies, and then over time it'll become, APR will make VW Audi stuff, Dynan will make BMW stuff, but some of the fabrication and things like that, where they very well combine their knowledge bases and use that for to make better brands for both of them. So it'll be interesting to see. But I was also able to secure, I've got some Dynan parts coming for the 1M to put on that. And so it was a cool little trip to take. I got to hear the M2 competition fart box. You know, they make it a little less farty with a Dynon exhaust. So it was a good trip. Good short day and a half trip. It was there and back.
So what are you getting from them? You said something from the 1M.
Intake, oil cooler, front monoball kit, the sway bar, and then rear tow arms for the 1M. So another couple of projects. I also have the injectors to do on that. So the 1M is nearing completion so that I can actually start driving the darn thing. I haven't driven it in a couple of weeks because I want to get the injectors in, get the tune dialed in. And so it'll be sitting on the darn lift for another couple of weeks as I get all these suspension parts put on. And then I'll go down to PSI and align it, retune it, and then put the new charge pipe on. And the car should be complete to be able to drive and then enjoy for a little while and then raffle it, give it away.
What's an update on the headlights? I think you might have mentioned that something in a recent video, but we had a couple of people asking about the headlights. What happened there?
Yeah, the M3s showed up and they weren't. I had to send them back. We'll just leave it at that.
Gotcha.
Remember my poor and stupid comment?
So are you getting replacements? Or are you going to go a different route? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I haven't gotten the 1M lights, but the M3 lights, so I had to send them back. And, yeah.
Any updates on membership program?
No, that'll be around the launch of the raffle. So either June. So if I say June, it'll probably be July 1st. So the target is June 1st. Bryce and I have a lot of projects to get to before we launch that. So likely July 1st. So I may run the raffle for the 1M from July 1st to August 31st or something like that. Give it away September 15th or something. So that's the goal there.
All right. I think it was Friday of last week, maybe the Comets showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So those were in the store. So what's the story now on Comets, on packages going forward, that sort of update?
So the Comet is going to take a while for us to get it to the standard. And we had this with Krensla too, where we had to get packaging right, and we had very, very, very low failure rates as long as we got it to them intact. Had issues with the 1122s, the Krenslas in the beginning, where they would put the wand and gun in there, and the way it was packed, it would jack up or crack the cover. Yeah, it would crack the inside of the cover there, and it would break the hose reel at times. And so, we've through selling several. I mean, I think we're in the several thousand range now of those, whether 1122, 1322. Getting those all shipped better and better, and we continue to improve. But I'm embarrassed at you guys. There are 18 of you that bought the Comet, and we reboxed them. It looks like a frickin' third grader boxed the things. They're just not used to dealing with me, right? I'm not as easy to get along with as you might imagine it when we're talking about simple things that. Like, for instance, get a good box instead of a piece of crap box, and don't just run a bunch of tape on it. Buy a craft tape machine. And I just bought $50,000 worth of pressure washers, so use some of that profit to put it in a decent box. So the first 18 are in a really crappy box. So those of you who are early adopting this, I appreciate that. It's really helpful to me to do that. But we had 18 come in. That was all they had in the U.S. And I thought there were several hundred in figures. Otherwise, I would have waited. And so they had 18. I bought all 18. So you can try to backdoor. This is just like Krensla. These come from one spot. There's one place. It's Valley Industries in Minnesota. Just like Dirt Killer is Krensla USA out of Baltimore. There's one place. So when I don't have it, nobody has it. So there's no, don't get duped into getting some deal somewhere because they don't have it, because all these places just drop ship it. These I'm not drop shipping. We're packing and we're keeping here because the likelihood of them being able to deliver on what we're asking is not good. I mean, shoot, we had 3 orders yesterday out that day, same day, and they'll be a week. in getting it out. And so that is a huge advantage. So now we have a couple hundred on order, we being Valley in the U.S., and we'll see. I have 50 reserved, so I should be getting the first 50 or so, and we'll see. So hopefully they'll listen to my advice and get some 32-pound, thicker, heavy duty cardboard boxes, and get a craft tape machine, so again, it doesn't look like a third grader boxed it, and hopefully they get there intact. But it's still janky, because if we ship it in the original box, it's guaranteed to break. And then the next steps will be to get rid of all the garbage that they provide with the pump and hopefully get the pricing down. My suspicion is the cost on the gun and wand and brush and all the junk they put in there is probably not much. So I don't know how much it's going to save us, but it would be magical if that thing was about $450, even 500 instead of 600. And then it's going to cost you between $30 and $70 to ship it, and hopefully we can get Northern Tool out of the equation, because they don't know anything about this stuff. All they do is mess it up. So that's the hope, is that I can make an OG version of this, but out of the box it's not very useful, I don't think. I think you want to modify it, and so we're really close. Where are we on the modification packages? Pretty close to being done with those.
Yeah.
So you can order. If you want it, just email us. But the packages we put together, should have been working on this for months and months. And we have lots of expertise now on these systems to be able to, for instance, the video will be coming out here in the next day or so of showing you how to put an elbow on it. So that way, if you want it portable, it's going to be a much better setup, much more usable. And that's my value add. And of course, everybody else will go and copy it later. But hopefully we'll have a OG specific Valley Industries sourced Comet, so I don't have to compete with people that are copying what I'm doing.
This question came up from Dallas, and I actually got this emailed to me from a couple other places as well in the past couple weeks. Have you ever considered distribution or sales centers that you could franchise out or own through OG in Canada / other countries? I had similar requests from Australia and the United Kingdom this week.
Oh, that's a super chat. Thanks, Dallas. Yeah, people, send me some super chat money. That'd be nice. Oh, we got another one. Gonna make some real money. So we're up to $7. So super chat, obviously, the advantage of it is that we see it, out of the other comments. But I get this question all the time. Hey, I know what happens is these dudes wake up and they're like, I've got it. I've got the system. There's in the Philippines or in the UK or in wherever, there's underserved these products that Matt's talking about, and there's people that want them. And the first issue is it's not in the tens of thousands, it's in the hundreds of people. So in order to have specific distribution, Obsessed Garage I don't have a big enough reach, I don't have a big enough audience, I don't have a big enough demand for, if I have tens of thousands of people, then maybe having local distribution would make more sense. The other problem is I can promise you, no matter who you are, you can tell them, Chris, what are the odds that the person is going to deliver in the way that I'm going to want them to deliver?
Almost 0% chance. Slightly above 0. I'm
a little bit specific, a little bit demanding, and unless I'm on a plane all of the time. And I know many of you are obsessed, and many of you, tie yourselves to this level of this way of thinking. But, I would have to dedicate, every waking moment for however many months it took to get those operations up and running, and then I'd have to follow up. So that vision is longer term. I would have to own it. It wouldn't be something I would partner with. That person would have to work for me. Partnerships very rarely work. Very, very, very rarely, and they usually wouldn't, and they almost doomed to fail with me, in the way that I tend to be. I wouldn't say I'm hard to get along with. I just have a very specific way of doing things. You guys happen to get it, So the team that we have here, I haven't really had to do anything other than just suggest, and then you guys do it, and then I make some suggestions. But the chances of us building a team like this elsewhere right now without full dedication, I just wouldn't be able to do it. So despite the fact that I'm always going to leave money on the table, it's really no different than me leaving money on the table by not just having 7 different coatings. Instead, I want to provide you the one, instead of retailing. So I'm going to continue to chase this specific vision. And if we do regional distribution, it would be after we're doing $50 million out of here, and then I had a guy, like let's say you were then running operations and you were running teams here, and then I would promote somebody like you to then go and start a new distribution center somewhere or something like that. So it'd be something that it would be done our way, and we're still building that system. We don't even have the system done here yet. So that's the thought process there. And I know it seems really simple. You just hire some other obsessed person and you send them a bunch of product. The margins aren't good enough yet either. We still have to fight. We're heading in that direction to be able to fight our margins and get them to be more in line with what they should be in order to take it to Amazon and then take it to multiple distribution locations in the future. But that's many, many months, if not a few years away. So.
Got it. Yeah, and that's usually my kind of canned response is it's a great idea. It's something way long term, because it takes so much effort and
we don't even know what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we don't have a freaking clue. We're just figuring it out.
That's what I tell people. I learn something new every day, and we screw something up every day, and we just kind of keep going. All right. Let's see here. I got another question. Well, we'll go back to that other question here in a second. ETA on a Dirt Killer trip. You got any plans to go visit Dirt Killer where we got our Krenslers?
When did I schedule? I think I scheduled it last week of August. So I was talking to Angela, who's the head of Dirt Killer USA or Krensler USA. So what I'm going to do is go up there, and we're going to do a multi-part series on maintenance. We're going to dissect pumps, talk about the structure of the pump. I'm going to learn a lot more about them, and that I think is going to be really helpful. Who is that? Is that what's his name?
Swagura.
Yeah,
Matsuki.
He's the dude who picked the fight with Pan. So yeah, I'm sure that's not his name, but thanks for the super chat donation there, brother. Who's that other dollar one?
That one was retracted. Message retracted.
From him as well.
Yeah, he doubled it to $2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, cool.
All right, we'll go back to this other super chat question then. We add mineral spirits to the tire package. Is that in your plan?
I wonder. I mean, that obviously would create some shipping issues because it's a caustic chemical. I'm going to be honest here. I thought I could come out with my own tire cleaning product and just buy gallons of mineral spirits and pretend like I created some fancy solution. So I would think that would probably something you just source locally. Thanks to Phil at Auto Fanatic for that suggestion. He never even puts tire dressing on tires. He just cleans it with mineral spirits. And it was game over. So I think I'll do that as my initial prep. I like what Carpro Pearl looks like, so you get a better bond with Pearl. Pearl should last longer, and then treat it with Adams Rubber and Tire Cleaner regularly as you're washing. So that'll be the system. But I don't think I'll be adding it to the package anytime soon, unless I can figure out a way to screw everybody out of their money. I'll have to start lying about things.
Hoffman asked a good question here. Could you source a replacement front plate cover for the 1122? Yes. The answer is yes. Just send me an email, Chris at Obsessed Garage. I did that just last week a couple times. So
aren't they like $60?
Yeah, I think it's $64.95-ish, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, a few bucks to ship it. Yeah. So yeah, we Dirt Killer Krensler usually has them. What we may want to do is get them here at some point too, so we have them. But yeah, we just drop ship it. I'm excited that the test with comment of shipping large quantities of pressure washers, I don't know where we're going to put them. This time worked out. We got 18 in and 18 out within a few days. And so when I get 50 of them they come in 2 giant boxes each. So it's going to be 9 or 10 pallets. I'm going to have it in my bathroom, in my bedroom, in my kids' room, in my attic. I'm going to have them all over the place.
Under the couch.
Yeah, that's 100 large boxes coming here. It'll replace all the old boxes that we used to have. That's good. Let's see here. I want to go to Instagram for a couple questions. Have you tried Emo Froth yet? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that.
No. I don't know what the point of that is. I get it, but I'm in Florida. I have O&R seems to work pretty well. I know lots of people like it, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of dry wiping stuff.
How long should a sealant sit before applying a wax?
General recommendation is at least a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours. It may make sense to. I don't know what science is behind that. That's just what it says on the bottle, Jescar bottle. So that's. I usually wait 3 or 4 hours generally to let it cure.
We had a few questions about this, and I get this email sometimes. People who maybe live in a community with well water, or they have chemicals. What's the best solution there when it comes to working with hard water or chemicals water?
If I had that issue and I was really into washing, then I would really work on, I would work with a water treatment company locally. A CR Spotless just isn't going to be adequate enough. The reason why I like CR is because it's cute, it looks good, it's clean, it's styled. So it looks, it's that sort of functional look. It looks functional, it looks good. So the packaging they've done is really well, but the function of it is not great if your water isn't great. You're going to be blown through resin filters all the time. So I think you'd have multiple tanks. You'd probably have an iron breaker. I'm not a huge fan of reverse osmosis because of the time it takes. It's a much slower filtration process. You'd have to have separate tanks, storage tanks. So I would probably do like an iron removal, iron breaker, then softener, and then have a separate DI tank for the water, and then you just have a service like Colligan or something like that come and change the resin when necessary, and you get on some sort of monthly program. But that becomes pretty costly. That you could do all this DIY, but it becomes really, really intensive. Not something I've ever chased. Because my water isn't pretty decent, so these are all more complicated topics that I'll be chasing as we get further down the road. Right now I'm building out a system for what I know and what I've tested and what I need personally, and then the hope is that others need it too. But in the future I'll be chasing some of these. I've got this huge resource of people that want to sell me something to sell it to you. The people that are listening, and so we'll get there to where we'll make. If we did it all today, then what am I going to do the rest of my life? So we'll have to work our way through it. But yeah, I would work with a water filtration expert in your area, not one of the marketing companies, but try to find someone who manufactures the stuff, or at least has a relationship with a manufacturer that's not it's not these goofy it shouldn't be $5,000. It should be like in the low thousand, like $1,500, $1,800 to do something like this, and then what they're going to charge you. I think the system at my house for filtration, the iron breaker, and then the softener was like $3,000, and it's a pretty stout set of the salt tank and all of that installation and everything. I probably could have bought it all for $1,200, but I didn't know how to do it, plumb it and all that.
Any update on the plugs for the water hose that you've we had some pictures.
He emailed me, said the stock came, so he's making them, cutting them, and whatever, CNCing them. I don't know how he's producing them, but I'm guessing I keep saying it's another week or two. I think he was his original source of stainless was a little pricey, so he found another source, and so I guess he's building it out of like rod. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, he sent me an email saying it'll be soon.
What's the product you use on exhaust tips sometimes?
It's a P21S polishing soap.
And will you be selling that anytime soon?
Probably not anytime soon, but at some point. The problem with that is it's one product from them, and it'll take me a while to convince them to let me buy one product. It usually does. Ooh, we got some serious super chat cash coming in here. Keep it coming,
this
people.
This is good. I'm going to read this one. I like this one too.
Uh-oh.
Chris, thanks for helping me with getting the bucket package a la carte. Go to lunch on me. That's good. So that money, Matt won't see that money. Matt, you're a BMW guy, so you have to have at least 50% love for the new Supra. Let's hear your take on it. What do you think?
Well, I'm a BMW guy, but not a fart BMW guy, and they put the I don't think, what is that, the B54 or something, like the B something. It's a B series engine.
Some weird designation.
So I don't know if that one's super farty. It's an interesting car to me. I think it looks pretty decent. It's going to look great if you do wheels and stuff like that or lower it. It'll probably be really tunable. I just wonder how it's going to sound. I wonder what the transmission is going to feel like. I think there's a manual option, isn't there?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. So, it's one of those cars that if I bought it, I'd be cheating a little bit. I'd be doing it just for the views. I'd be doing it for the audience. So I don't know that I'll buy it. Like a Corvette, I genuinely want to experience it, mainly because I hate it so much and I think it's so stupid, and I'm probably wrong. And it's not that I love being proved wrong. I love to stop having opinions and have an experience on things. So I have an opinion about a Corvette. The Supra is cool. It's not something I want. It's not something, but it's also not something I think is bad or good. I think it's probably going to be decent. I think people are frustrated that it's not, doesn't have the old motor. I mean, of course I'm not going to have an old motor, and that's freaking stupid.
Put a 2J in it.
Yeah, I mean, that motor sucks anyway. Like, what do you want to...
It's because it's iron block and it's unkillable to 1,000 horsepower.
What do you need 1,000 horsepower for? Have you ever seen a Supra at a half-mile event? They literally are undrivable. It's dumb. Like, the car handles like crap. It just fishtails around all over the place. I've never seen one that actually works. What's the point? It's dumb.
People are on a death wish.
I mean, it's one of those things that everybody wants to have until you have one, and then you freaking hate it. It's like me in the S2000, and I wanted it to be 400 horsepower, and I thought it would be great, and I get it, and it sucks. And then, it sucks, but then you have to, like, pretend like it's great because otherwise you squash your hopes and dreams. It's like me going to the track, like my entire hopes and dreams when I was 30 years old, from say, 23 to 32 until I actually showed up at the track was... all my hopes and dreams were built around being a track guy, and I got there, and it was the worst experience ever. I hated it. So, anyway, I'm going to make a lot of enemies here with the stupid 2JZ Supra, but, yeah. There's a reason why all the old Supra guys have gone to R35 GTRs, because the Supra doesn't go. It just slides around all over the place. So, sorry to all my Supra owner buddies or Supra owner wannabes. I just think that car's dumb. I mean, I think it looks great. I think it can be cool. You can modify it, set it up, but would you rather have that or a GT3? I mean, this is just a stupid question.
Got a good question for you here, kind of following up on your dirt killer trip, and I know actually you mentioned this in the past. Any plans on going to Germany and visiting Chrysler HQ?
Yeah, I actually had that booked when I met the Chrysler guys in the Uwe and Ludwig Chrysler. I met them in New York because they happened to be in the country, and yeah, I need to go there. I would love to go there and get like trained and become an expert. Take that next level of really, really understanding the internals of the product, understanding what's the difference between a wobble pump and a regular direct axial pump and all of these different options. So at some point I'll go there. I'm not in a good spot right now from a stress level and panic level, and so hopefully when I get medicated heavily, then I can start going and doing more sophisticated trips like that.
The G-Technic CSL plus XOV4 combo, would it be suitable as a wheel and trim coating?
Yeah, I think I'm going to dump C5. I like the regular coating after doing Ultra on the wheels. I'm going to put CSL on my HREs. And, C5 just isn't very hydrophobic. And C5 is just basically, there's a heat agent or heat additive to help with, I guess, the heat from the brakes, supposedly. But C5 is just C1, which is your traditional quartz-based coating, resin-delivered quartz-based, the old traditional style coating. So I don't know. What's the difference? I care for my wheels the same as I care for my paint. So I'm going to put CSL Exo on my HREs and go from there.
Is water spotting on coatings different from water spotting on wax/sealed surfaces, i.e. does it etch the paint worse or stand out more?
Well, there tends to be a higher probability of surface or etching of just the coating layer. But you still, if it was a hard water spot, like on my M3, it wouldn't matter if it was coated or not, it'll blow right through that. So the coatings generally add a whole nother whatever percentage point of water spot possibility, right? So if you have a coating, there's a bigger chance that you can end up with water spots. And then so you're introducing water spot ability on top of the coating as well as the ever-present chance for it to etch right through to the clear coat, because the coating is not very thick. It's in, I get my mils and microns and all that stuff messed up. It's really thin, let's just say.
Have you tested CarPro Elixir QD yet?
No. I've done the whole reload, what is it? What's the mix? It's reload and something. I don't know. I like Beadmaker. So I've never really liked reload very much. Beadmaker looks better, I think.
All right, we had a couple questions that someone emailed in that I thought were pretty good questions with regard to just kind of the business aspect of OG and lessons learned there. So let me bring that up here. Are there any standout moments during your journey that you would say to your previous self to watch out for?
Well, the biggest thing would have been related back to being public and wealth management. And forget wealth management, being public in corporate and working for another company. And I think about it now, it just isn't fair to that company. Like, I don't want you going out and making a YouTube channel when you work for my company, right? So
too late. Go close that down real quick.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't the ones you're using to promote, it just doesn't fit, it doesn't work. And so if I could go back and tell myself, I thought I wanted to change the world, and if you're the CEO or you're running a corporation, or whether it's big or small, there's no reason, you don't want people going rogue. And although I knew better, I knew where I was headed, I knew what I was doing from a building a personal brand perspective, from figuring out a way to teach people what I did and what I could offer to them, and I want to hire me to manage my money. I wanted to hire a guy like me, highly designated, very passionate, very up on what's going on. And very disconnected from bullcrap, let's use in the detailing world as an example, Flexzilla. Flexzilla hoses are junk. They're not junk, but they're not as good as they're touted to be. It's a highly, highly marketed product, highly marked up, highly marginable product, and it's so result. So it's very similar to any salesman type, industry type thing where things are highly marketed. You generally aren't there's a guy here in town, you see his signs all over the place who is a financial person, but he's a freaking idiot. He doesn't know anything, but he's pitching you genius, pitching you perfection. And so I'm always looking for someone like that. So if I could go back and tell myself what not to do, I would have laid low, kept it disconnected, and I would have figured out a way to get out of it. And I probably would have gotten out of it sooner. I really had a passion and put a lot of effort into it, so I didn't want to let that go. I wanted to connect it, and it just wasn't. I could have done that, but I didn't go about it the right way. There is no way to do what I envisioned in doing in the current legal environment. There's just no way to do it. And so I would go back and smack myself around a little bit and say, look, you're not going to change the world unless you're willing to fight. And I'm not willing to. I'm wound too tight. I got too much to do to worry about fighting. There's no reason to fight, to change the rules. The rules are going to change. They have to. Otherwise, that industry is going to completely, and most industries are going to fail. We're seeing it with like that one company, Dixon Valve, that won't let me buy the stuff because they're so worried about local distribution. Well, when local distribution doesn't exist, then what? Then what? So then they'll have to play catch up if they don't fail in the process. And so I'm sensitive to this now and understanding. I have more empathy for what either a corporation would have to go through. So I would be very cautious if you're watching me and watching how public I am with things. Just know that there is significant negative to that if you're in a career where the guy that's watching eventually going to find you if you get big enough, and he's going to say, "What the heck are you doing? You can't say that. You can't do that." And then you'll think of it as censorship, but it's really just it's not appropriate.
And I think a lot of your perspective changed for sure when you went from employee, for lack of a better term, to employer.
I will never work for anybody ever again. I can't. I just can't. I don't want to talk you out of it, but I just can't do it. I'm just not wired. I mean, you've gotten to know me over the years. You can see how I couldn't see it, but I'm just meant for this kind of thing. Of not having, like, I'm making the decision on what is appropriate and what isn't, instead of somebody else. And I'll make mistakes, and instead of somebody else making those decisions for me. And so I feel like I'm suited for this path. I didn't know it. I didn't. My parents have never, been entrepreneurs. Certain people just kind of grow up in that environment. My kids are going to grow up in that environment, so they're going to see if that fits them or not. I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. I mean, there are plenty of people that are fantastic number 5s or number 3s. And you don't have to be the number 1. Not everybody's cracked up to be. It's a lonely place to be. Luckily, I have coaches, or otherwise I'd be making a lot more mistakes.
It'll be interesting one day when we have someone working here that's like a mini you, and you'll have to deal with mini you, kind of like a parent.
It's not going to happen. I don't want them. I thought that that's what I wanted, and that's where I would have made a huge mistake. There's a bunch of mini me's. No. It doesn't work. It can't work. Just like partnership very rarely works. Somebody eventually feels like they're working harder than the other person. And I just had a conversation with a guy this past week who started a company, became a significant company, brought in a partner, and eventually they didn't see eye to eye, and then they split, and it was a mess. And and that partner was a financial partner, so I'm going to struggle with that. That the terms that I'm going to set if I do raise capital someday is going to be, and even then I'll probably still screw it up. So that's why I'm going to avoid raising capital at all costs if possible.
It's the only ship that won't sail is partnership. That's what I've heard. Doesn't work. Let's see. This from David. I think David Platz here. Loving the consistent weekly podcast. Any guest conversations in the works? I know you talked about wanting to have different people on, so any
I really need to get cracking on that, and I need to do some solo podcasts. What's going to help here coming up, we did hire Ryan, assuming he's got to line a few things up to get here, and so we've been so focused. I mean, like Prevost is an amazing product line, and there's no real viable place to buy it. I see it starting to show up on Amazon in some capacity, but we're going to do it in a better way and make it more understandable to help people design systems. And so I've been really focused on these projects that I've been working on for the video stuff. That's what I'm interested in doing most. And then the spare time I have is with those projects. And so we're going to start a creative a bulletin board through Trello and Slack, and I'm just going to dump these ideas onto that platform, and then Ryan and Bryce will be working through them, and that will take some more weight, because let's say that I'm doing 20% of the work. I want to get down to like 5% of the work. Of getting to the point where we have a customer service dedicated person where then you're overseeing completely, and so we're working toward getting me down to 5% capacity so that I can focus on YouTube, podcast. That's what I love doing, and the YouTube and podcasts are just a result of all these crazy projects and ideas that I want to work on and share, and so guests will be a part of that. It'll also be helpful when we get I get the studio really dialed in. I've got to make a few changes to this to get it set up properly. So I've learned some things thanks to the guys who are audio engineers who I've had discussions with over the past couple of weeks on what my setup needs to be adjusted to. The first step was to get a stout computer so we don't have to deal with that issues of slow.
All right, I'm pulling this question off of Instagram here because we get this question fairly often. Do you have any knowledge about the European versions of the Krenzla? I'm considering pairing a HD 10122 with your gun and wand package. Would you recommend that? It has even higher flow than the U.S. equivalent, I'm guessing because it runs on 230V. So what are the differences there, and does your stuff work?
Yeah, it all mates. All of the Krenzlas have an M22 14mm by 1.5 connection. I think 1.5 is the thread pitch, and it just M22 15 or 14mm standard, and so our kits mate right to it. The only thing you would probably want to do, the 4.0 nozzle will work fine. You'll be up around 1250 psi. You may want to get a set of 4.5 size nozzles, but it all mates. It costs you $50 or so in shipping, right? It's somewhere between $35 and $75 depending on where you're at. You will spend less just having us ship it to you via DHL. It'll be there in 2.5 days, 3 days. We've been pretty good about keeping them in stock now and buying larger quantities, and so it'll save you the trouble from trying the fittings. The only thing I would suggest that you do is I would buy 3 extra of the 1/4-inch male couplers and 3 extra of the female couplers if you're in UK or Germany or wherever in Europe or in the Philippines or Australia. I would buy several of those to throw in the box. It won't cost you that much more shipping. It'll cost you maybe another $50, and then you've got a stout, amazing gun that will last a long time. And you just have the couplers and the fittings to be able to replace. I got to get with Mosmatic and figure out what's going on with the darn new gun and wand.
Yeah, there are a couple questions about that. No news there?
No. It's going to be problematic when we get it anyway of having supply and stuff. So just pretend like it doesn't exist for now. I wouldn't wait for it if you're waiting. I just get the old one, and then you'll easily be able to sell the old one at 75% of what you paid for it to someone if you take care of it. So if you really want the new one, I would just don't wait for it. It's going to be a while. Who knows?
Let's see. Are there any YouTubers, that you like to work with that you haven't yet?
Yeah, I'd like to do something with Jason from Engineering Explain, Tommy F. Yeah. The guys, what's the Gears and Gasoline? Mark Sanu, who's Savage Geese. Savage Geese is my favorite, car review channel. Mark and I have to get together. He's doing the same thing I'm doing, which now he's doing it full time, so he's running hard just like I am. So we were supposed to get together this winter, but I don't know. We'll see. I want to get him down here to. We need to book it to drive the 1M before I get rid of it. So I may, he won't take the money, but I'll try to pay him to come down here and do a review of it to raise some more money for the raffle. Let's see, who else do I? I was just texting Evan Shanks back and forth. He's part of the young contingent. I'd like to do some stuff with TJ Hunt too. Maybe some teaching how to properly wash and things like that. Rob Ferretti, maybe someday do something with him. But yeah, there's lots of car YouTube guys that I'd love to sit down, and what I'll probably do when I start the interview series, I want to interview like Damon Fryer. I want to interview Salamandran. I want to interview some of these guys that have a story to tell, and get them on the podcast. I'm going to try to convince Matt Farah to come on, see if I can interview him. And I'll be doing some more stuff with Tavarish. And maybe B is for Build. I'd like to interview those guys for the podcast, because a lot of times collaborative videos aren't quite as, they don't fit as well, especially on my channel. And then I don't really resonate all that particularly well with their audience. So we'll see. But that's what I have in mind.
This is a good question. Bryce is going to like this question. What are your thoughts on Apple products? So, do you prefer them, and why?
Fit and finish, functional excellence. I had this iMac Pro set up in 8 minutes once it was all ready to go. I like the ecosystem. My phone, the computer, my laptop. I have Google Drive file share set up, which is the business version, and so it took me a while to get it all figured out. But now I have Google Drive, so all files are backed up right to the cloud, and then I have access to it on all of my machines. But I love the fact that the laptop is aluminum, just fit and finish. There's some quirks and idiosyncrasies. I also like their simplicity of the system, the file system. It's just clean. I don't have to deal with virus issues and things like that. I open the display and it just turns on and works. I think PCs do that now too. But the ecosystem is what I like, and then the fit and finish of it is fantastic. Functionally, it's great. Yeah, you can get more, better specs. It's kind of like Porsche. I could get more horsepower out of I always use this example of getting a Camaro, but then I'm still driving in a Camaro. I'd rather have less horsepower that's more refined. That's the way I look at it.
Sabre cabinets. What's the estimated shipping time, or how far out are they?
We're still about 6 weeks out, but I think we're getting close. I think by late spring we'll be able to fill orders like in a week or two. The issue has been Chinese tariffs and steel. That's been the big issue. And then he's actually changed suppliers, or the manufacturers, I should say, to a much bigger factory that will be able to not backlog him as much. So that's what's been happening and why they've been taking so long. Same thing with Sonic. What I didn't realize is that Sonic was going away from MSS until I showed up. And so they literally shipped all the inventory back. Every cabinet they had, they shipped back right at the same time that I turned it on. And so, they're now bringing it back over in quantity so that they can fulfill our orders quicker. So just know with cabinets, you plan 2 months in advance. Just be prepared for that. I'm working on it, but we'll get there at some point.
Let's see. We have a couple suggestions. Jim from White Details. You know anything about his YouTube channel?
Sure. Yeah, I know Jim.
Cletus. Sandro from Australia, Dallas Paint Correction, Auto Detailing, etc. So there you go. There's some more.
I'm not really too keen on doing the the budget detailer guys. I don't know. I don't have anything in common with any of those guys. It just wouldn't go well. I was gonna have Scott on the podcast, but it's just I decided not to do it. It's just not gonna go well. And then his people hate me, and my people aren't all that interested in that budget type. So it just it's not going to go well. So I'm not even going to go there.
Do you have any suggestions? Best liquid coating for matte paint, painted carbon fiber.
I mean, you got to be careful with that because whatever you put on there is not coming off. I don't know, man. I haven't done much with matte stuff. You can put any coating on it, but then you're never getting it off, and who knows what happens later on. Can't polish it off. I would focus on Dr. Beasley's product line for anything matte. He's done a lot of work with matte care stuff, so he's pretty much the authority on that stuff. So I would go to Dr. Beasley's and Jim is Jim Lefebvre, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But Jim is the guy that he's behind Dr. Beasley's. He's the chemist. So I would use their products on anything matte and follow their directions there.
This is one I've seen before, and I know we've addressed it, but it's good because it comes up pretty often. Suggestions for beginning polisher. If you're only going to get one, which one's the one to get and why?
Yeah, I struggle with budget consciousness, right? Because I just tend to wait and get something good. So I would probably get my hands on an LHR 15 ES. So you'd get the 5-inch Rupes, the Gen 1, the original version. I think it's $299. And then the other issue is that dudes buy like 2 pads. 2 pads isn't going to do dick. You need a freaking bunch of them. So buy a bunch of pads. You need like 8 pads of each kind. So get Rupes yellow and get Meguiar's microfiber cutting pads. You'll be able to do 95% of what you need. And so get 8 of each of those in 5-inch. And like for several years in the beginning, you just try to get the 5-inch up as close to the edges as you can, and you just like the front bumpers become problematic, or some of the areas of rear bumpers of cars, and you just don't polish the tight spots, and then eventually you get yourself a 3-inch, and then eventually you get yourself a nano. So that's what I would do. I would start with LHR 15 ES. I need to get those in the store. LHR 15 ES and 8. At least 6 5-inch Rupes yellow pads, and get 6 Meguiar's microfiber cutting pads. Just get it from my store, and get Sonex Perfect Finish, and get Jescar Correction Compound. There are 1,000 other polishes that are great too, but get those 5 things and you'll be rolling. And then someday for Christmas, ask for a 3-inch, and then when when you're balling a little harder, then get the nano. But the nano isn't necessary.
And that kind of brings us to at the beginning here. Someone was asking about the Mark IIs. Mm-hmm. When we get in the Mark IIIs, will we still have Mark IIs? Will the price go down? What does that look like?
Mark IIs are going to go away. We'll see how many we have. We just ordered a bunch of them, right? So those will be here, and then they'll be discounted in some form or fashion, whatever Rupes tells us to do. Are you sure that we don't have to get an order in? Might want to double check.
I'm positive.
Okay, I'm trust
me.
Because I saw there was a picture on Instagram of a bunch of Mark IIIs, and we don't have any on.
They're not here yet, but they're en route. They've been shipped.
What do you mean?
They're on the way here. They're coming.
How many do we have on order? How many are we getting?
We got 20 of the
Mark
LHR
3s.
15 Mark III.
Oh, so we paid for them the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So that was the $15,000 bill that I just paid.
Exactly.
Okay, I got it. I didn't know that we had any on order.
Yes, I put in the order weeks ago, and they shipped them.
Got it. Okay, good. Yeah, we already have like 10 of them sold, don't we?
Saving that for a surprise, but you just ruined it. Yeah, we've sold a few of them on the pre-sale. So if you're out there and you want to get one, go ahead. Now would be a good time to order one because.
Yeah, you might as well buy them from me since they're the same price everywhere.
Here's a good question for you. This comes from Nick, who bought your E90 armrest.
Mm-hmm.
It is so clean. The rest of my interior has a nice layer of grease over the leather. Any recommendations?
Swiss Max leather cleaner. And you better swallow now before you go look at how much it costs. But it's amazing. Yeah, the Swiss Max leather cleaning kit I think is great. Or if you don't want to drop that kind of coin, you get Leather Masters. They have 3 different levels of cleaner. I'm not a big fan of using APC in the interior, so I would do the either color lock or Swiss Vax.
And this is good because this is a fairly common question. Best course of action to improve a poorly maintained family member's car that has some spots of failing clear coat / oxidation. Not terrible, but notable in spots. I realize repainting is the only real solution, just looking for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, if you just polish it, just polish it with a microfiber cutting pad and some compound. I mean, if the clear coat's already failing anyway, what's the worst you can do? It'll really clean up oxidation. Blow out the pads a bunch often. Maybe even, have a bunch of pads so you can swap them out. But that car would transform. It'll be kind of fun, too, to watch the oxidation disappear. And then, you're going to remove some more clear, but you'll clean it up, shine it up. They'll be in shock. And then maybe look into Optimum's new clear coat. It's they have a new solution. I think it's $90 for a bottle. And it, I don't know how well it works, but the Rag Company just did a video on it. But they have it's like a new clear coat-like coating that you put on the car. So check that out. I got to get some to try it. I'm on the failed spot on the trunk of my M3.
This is more of a suggestion relating to the membership program, but this is a good idea. Have you considered smaller giveaways for your membership platform rather than just the 1M? A full decon, maybe microfiber polishing package that would interest me more in a few ways, potentially better odds, less hassle to win with taxes, storage, etc.
Yeah. I hate the whole even doing the darn car thing. People just don't value what they're given for free. Because chances are you who won it aren't going to win it. And so somebody who doesn't even want it is going to get it, and they're just going to kind of, end up punting it in the trash. If they're a hoarder, they'll just hold on to it forever. The odds of getting what you wanted to you is pretty slim. And so I'm just so reluctant to do, and I know some young guys would really appreciate that, and I certainly would have appreciated anything free, in the past more than I do now. But even then, I don't think I've never gotten anything for free that I actually wanted. You always get something that you don't want, and despite the fact that I have all the best of the best stuff, it's still gonna odds are it's gonna end up in somebody who's never gonna decon their own car, and I give them a decon package. Or somebody who doesn't wash their own car is going to win it, and then it's kind of pointless. The only reason I'm giving the car away is so I can raise more money with it than I would selling it. So don't let me try to fool you. I'm not doing this benevolently. I'm doing it to make a bunch of money so I can buy the next car and do it again, and help me survive. It affords me the ability to buy whatever part I wanted on the car because I know I'm going to get that back. So the whole raffling thing is just another way to raise some awareness, I guess. And I guess that's what he's talking about, the same thing. I give away some other stuff. I'm just not too keen on that. It's the same reason why I don't put T-shirts or stickers in the box. Every single box I've gotten in the last month from companies has a T-shirt. They're always asking me the T-shirt size, and I used to say, no, don't do that. And then there's this argument back and forth, so I just finally said, just give them the size. And I literally punt it directly in the trash because every single one of them is a Gildan piece of garbage, or if it's great, it's a Canvas or Next Level piece of garbage, and I'm just punting it. And the design is terrible, and it's just junk. And I want to want that shirt. I want to use the shirt, but it's just garbage. So this is our next business idea. One, we have an issue of getting our own shirts printed. And so in the new facility, I don't know what it costs, but I want to buy my own amazing screen printing thing. And I'm going to hire 2 or 3 people, and I'm going to go to every company that sends me a crappy T-shirt, and I'm going to go to them and say, look, stop buying this garbage. Stop giving it away. Start selling it because the people that want it will buy it. Stop doing that promotional bullcrap that everybody's throwing away immediately, that everybody thinks they want, but they don't want. And let's do a legit design, a legit shirt. And then it'll help me pay for my machine that I want for myself because every T-shirt company is a bunch of freaking idiots. Yeah. Where was I going with that?
That's a great question. I lost you about 10 minutes ago.
That was the freebie thing. The giveaway.
All right, let's talk about what's your next trip here. Are you going back to Rupes for the advanced training? So first of all, what's the difference in advanced? How many people are going to be there? All
10.
that information. 10 people.
10, one-on-one, super intensive, no fluff, getting into it, like detailed. So what I'm doing is I'm hosting a meeting this coming Saturday for those who signed up. I canceled the second section. I only had 3 people, and I didn't want to hammer. I've hammered people on the Rupes events too much. And I'm sure we probably could have filled it, but I just didn't want to hammer people. And I honestly didn't want to be there for a week. I'm just, again, wound. So I like being here. And so I'm going to slow my roll on this whole traveling around the world thing. I hate that part. So, we're going to host a meeting where we get the pleasantries out of the way and figure out what people want to learn. So me and Jason, Rose, and then the 10 guys that are attending are going to get to know each other on a virtual meeting. So when we show up, we all know each other, the pleasantries, the whole hi, how you doing bull crap, we're going to skip and get right into it. Go. So we're going to have to create our diplomas here. So we're going to have to go and have them printed nicely. And then I'm going to ship frames out there because I don't want some janky frames. I want the frames that we have here. I want people's completion certificates in that. And so I'm going to send it out there so people can take it in their bag with them. Maybe you'll carry it on the plane. Or you can probably just put a shipping label on it at Rupes if they want. Maybe what I'll do, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should just ship it to them here. I think maybe that's a better way to do it.
We could send it when they make their order.
Yeah.
The Rupes were.
Yeah, instead of them having to deal with it, and then I won't have to deal with it. And it's nice to take something away, but then they're going to have to try to get it back. So I think we're going to do that. I want it to be legit, not some piece of crap that you get for free that you throw away, that they put in some stupid piece of garbage frame. I just hate that. So we're going to do it legit. So anyway, yeah, that's the Rupes thing. And then we'll have a follow-up meeting at the end where we'll get the final thing out of the way. And but the magic of this is these 10 dudes are going to learn a lot, but they're going to learn more from each other than they learn from the darn course. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to do more and more and more of this stuff. And I think it'd be, as much as I love Rupes, I want to do it here so I don't have to get on a plane, and my facility's better anyway.
That was my next question. Do you want to have a similar training to that here, or do you want to do other stuff?
All kinds of stuff. And not just $1,500 trainings. I'm going to do $200 trainings where it's more realistic for people. Now, a $200 training will just have more people. And it'll be more me standing up instructional based, or whomever I hire to come and do it. And so that's where we're headed. Right now, we don't have the room to do it. It'll be more one-on-one type stuff.
Let's see. John Jacobs was asking about any updates on OGHQ 3.0.
No, I've got to get cracking on getting what I'm looking for that facility. Who was it? Mark. I think I talked about this, where Mark sent me a mock of what he would suggest, and it was pretty spot on with what I was thinking, and gave me a lot of ideas I didn't even think about. So I've got to get that wish list to the builder. And I think he's working on site plan and all that stuff. So making sure we can fit it on the property, but it's going to take months and months of nothing, while we're working with the county to get this thing built.
So what's a realistic
January? Yeah, or later, I would guess.
Are there any plans to chase a vacuum solution?
Yeah. That's a little further down the line, but yeah, I think we need a portable solution, and then we need a custom install solution, much like we did in Nick's garage.
Same thing here. Well, any new items coming to the store that people should be looking out for?
All the Prevost stuff. So I'm waiting on. We're gonna get Bryce is gonna get caught up here, or get the Comet done. We're going to get the Karcher, the K2345 done. So we have the entire pressure washing series done. I think we got the second final approvals for Karcher to get the K1700. So I want to get the series done and wrapped up, get all the data, out to people so that, on the site so people can view the data and make their own educated decision. So I'll do the wrap-up video for the pressure washing series. And then we'll start the next product line, which will probably be scan grip lighting, and then interior, and then paint depth gauge at the same time. So I'm going to have a suite of paint depth gauge options, and then from there, who knows? Whatever's next from that point.
Do you have any thoughts on the high torque nut runner for the GT3 wheels?
Yeah, I want that, but I found out I think they're like they start at $8,000. So I was in at $3,000, but if they're $10,000, I don't know. Maybe if I'm lucky, they'll send me one that I can then make videos of.
And what exactly is that for those of us who are uninformed?
It is a digitally controlled automatic torque impact gun to remove the center lock and then torque the center lock nut on the GT3 wheels.
And it's specifically for the GT3?
Well, it's any center lock Porsche,
okay,
which requires 442 foot-pounds of torque. It becomes problematic. You have to use a giant torque wrench and all of that. So this would be an electric. And I saw the video of it, and I said I'm in, but I was in at $3,000, not at 11. So we'll see. And it makes sense that the precision, how precise that thing looked, it looked very expensive.
A lot of the products you sell come from Europe, but European customers have to pay duty to buy from you, which can make it quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any solutions? Have you thought about looking ways around this?
One of the problems with Europe is you guys have all these, you guys are big time in local distribution. It's all about the local shop. There's a problem with every single company is that they're so concerned about what the local sales guy is going to think about having somebody online providing a solution. Because what I wanted to do was be able to drop ship the K1152 TST or the HD10 or HD7 or whatever European version of the Krensla. I'm teaching people about it. Let me get a hold of them and show people the differences between them. Let me the customers that I have there, why can't I sell it to them? And their argument is that, well, we can't take away from the local distribution. So I've worked on that, not super hard. The logistics of that is really complicated. But yeah, it would make perfect sense to be able to drop ship the products right from, and this is where having regional distribution would make sense longer term in the future, is to, rather than sending it all the way over here and then back over there, it would be much more efficient to have it there. But again, I need tens of thousands of customers, not hundreds of customers. So that's the longer term goal, and I'll tackle it. I mean, we'll chase it and we'll get it done. But that's the 5-year plan, not the 5-month plan.
Yeah, and I think honestly for us that would be a lot easier to say we're not going to import it and then turn around and send it right back to you. Here now we've got friends who we can drop ship it straight from them. It's way easier for everybody.
The issue is a lot of the stuff that we are selling is compiled from all over the world. So it doesn't completely solve the problem, and that I'm bringing Chinese parts in and Australian stuff and stuff from all over the world, and it's not all European. And then you have a lot of American-made stuff. So it doesn't completely solve the problem until I get to the point where I'm sending containers over to my regional distribution, regional or worldwide distribution. And that's a whole nother ball game that I'm sure will, if this continues to grow, that we'll maybe get there. But again, I struggle with this whole idea. What good is it to have, let's say we're doing 40 million or 100 million in revenue, and then you have 98 million in costs. Why not have 5 million in revenue and have 3 million in costs? You end up in the same spot with a lot less headache. It only makes sense if you're doing 100 million in revenue and you have 70 million in costs, and I get to keep the 30. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm taking it one day at a time, and by one day at a time, I'm stressing about the next 40 years of my life every millisecond. But I'm attempting to do it one day at a time.
All right, I have a good question here. I don't want you to get yourself all worked up about, but try and contain yourself here. I've been chasing a GT4 for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give a looking to be first-time owner of a Porsche GT4 to get an allocation?
Yeah, I don't know. If you want a new one, I've just resigned the fact I'm just going to buy secondhand. Sucks balls, but that's just the way it goes. So if you say you're going to have to buy somebody else's car, there are enough of them that are spec'd close enough that what you would probably do, you just lose out on the experience. So the way to do it is just get on the phone and call every single dealership on the planet until you find the right guy at the right time, and then he's probably still going to give you a line of crap and bait and switch you. So that's the hard part, is that they'll bait and switch you. You say everything's good to go, and at the very end they say, well, in order to do this, you got to buy the $5,000 wheel and tire package, like they did to Adam. Freaking stupid. $3,300 1-year wheel and tire warranty. The dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So is there a place you can go for like a secondary, or is there a Porsche specific place where people go for that? No.
Just dealership to dealership. It's the dumbest, biggest piece of crap system on the planet. Make a centralized database that's reliable and useful, and just say, here's the price of the car, and you buy it and they drop it off. It's a stupid dealership model. Dumb.
Why do you pick the middle of the workday for this podcast, from Gary?
I don't know. When else are we going to do it?
It's the middle of Gary's workday and our workday, not necessarily the middle of anybody else's.
Yeah, I figure most people aren't watching this live anyway. We're just doing it live because we can. I would like to do it on Saturday at 2 p.m., but then I got to pay Bryce and Chris to do that. They don't want to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be better to do it at 8 p.m., and it would be me. And so we're gonna maybe get to that point to where I've have it, on a better time schedule. But right now, this is the only time I can get it done. But yeah, I agree with you. This is a stupid time.
If you live on the East Coast, we have some folks all over the world who it's different times there, but I would think a lot of our audience is here.
Yeah, and if I want the live stream to be successful, I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to figure something out. I don't know. We're just kind of fumbling through it right now, just testing it out.
Any updates coming on dealing with / preventing water spots? That's the main issue I deal with living in tropical climate with a car that sits outside most of the week.
Nothing I know of. Yeah, I don't know. Water spots are a new thing to me. I never really had to deal with them. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm thinking of purchasing a 2015 370Z. Any thoughts on this car? Have you ever taken care of one before?
No, I suspect the paint is probably on the softer side, so probably more scratch prone. But so I would probably be inclined to coat it, CSL and XOV4. But I don't think that, and I think that Nissans generally have paint on the thinner side, so they don't have a ton of paint as most Japanese cars. So you just want to be a little bit more cognizant of not blowing through it, because you're probably gonna have to polish it more often because it's a little bit softer in general. But it just depends on the color. Some of them may be hard, some of them may not. You'll know if it's scratched and swirled out, then you can correct it with a single step. Then you'll know that it's softer, and then it's going to be more prone to scratching in the future. And remember that the coating takes on the characteristic of the substrate of the paint that's underneath it. So a coating is still going to scratch on you too, but it may add a little bit of hardness factor to it to scratch a little less. But yeah, I would just not get a black one if I had a choice. I'd get a silver one.
Any update on the E92 wheels when they're coming in?
They're here. I just need to get down to Orlando to do it, and yeah, I'm gonna put them on, get the car aligned, put the tow arms on. Something's going on with the sway bar, so I've got to figure out what's going on. Something clunking on the M3, so I got to get it up on the lift here, figure that out. Then I'm gonna go spend a day at PSI putting on the tow arms, doing the alignment, putting the wheels on, mounting and balancing. Then I'll come back up here and I'll take them off, and then I'm going to decon and then coat them after they're all set up. So that's the plan.
What's the shortest and then also longest amount of time you've owned a car, personally?
Let's see. Longest was probably the blue GT3, because I owned that 2014. No. I guess I only had that a couple of years. I had my S4 for 3 years, almost 3 years. I had my E92 M3 from 2010 to 2014, so it was probably my E92 M3. No, it would be my 2007 AP2 S2000. So 7, so end of 2006, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I had that for about 5 years, 4.5 years. I drove, I had 135,000 miles on it. So I bought it for 28, brand new. They had some crazy discount. Sold it for, I think, 12. So that was a pretty decent deal. 135,000 miles. Shortest is going to be the 1M.
6 months?
Yeah.
8 months, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the GT350 wasn't long-lived. Neither was the Raptor Gen 2. Those were both around, somewhere just shy of a year. And then the GT3 might be exiting here.
Uh-oh.
I got an offer. They haven't given me the number yet. And then I may buy Foster's Visoc GT Silver. But that's only if the numbers work out.
We'll tease that ahead to next week. Any negatives to applying 2 coats of Colonite as opposed to Jescar Powerlock / Colonite on a freshly compounded surface?
Nope. 2 coats. Who knows how much 2 coats adds in thickness? I think it looks a little bit better, but the main is to cover up any spots you might have missed. So I'm doing a single Powerlock, 2 coats of Colonite.
The paint on the mesh grills on the front of my GT3 is chipping off from rock chips. Did this ever happen to yours? And any ideas on how to fix and protect?
Yep. Replace it. Just let it get beat up and then pull the front bumper off and replace it. There's not really much you can do about it.
Have you dealt with Dyno Wax products and their coatings?
No. So many products.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah, that I'll be doing a lot more testing of stuff in the future once we get through, the construction of our store, and then we'll be doing different versions, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, and continuing to evolve. I've said this many times. There's entire product lines I want to buy and try stuff. And right now I'm in a spot where they don't have the bandwidth to do that because I want to keep doing the projects that I'm doing.
Any update on Eric's R8?
Yeah, it's doing great. He doesn't drive it, so that freaking coating will be on there for 10 years. He'll be lucky to put a few hundred miles a year on that thing.
And then let's see, it's 12/27. And I looked this morning. This is actually February is shaping up to be our second biggest month ever in terms of sales. Second only to November, which included Black Friday. So how do you feel about that? What does that mean for you going forward? Are you excited? Are you happy? How you feel?
It's great. I'm gonna feel a lot better come like October when I get through the final round of cleaning up my previous gig, cleaning up the cost of that. And I can sort of move forward. I just don't know what my tax situation is going to look like. It's amazing. I mean, we just hired another guy for media, and that's going to create problems for you and create problems for my parents. And so we'll probably have to hire a couple more for that to support you guys that are going to have to support the fallout from from me creating more stuff. But I'm psyched, man. I always assume every day that we're not going to sell anything the next day. And then when we do, 15, 17, 20, $11,000 a day, it's humbling. I mean, it theoretically should work because this is stuff that people don't have the answers to, and I know they want because I want it. And so I'm just going to keep making things that I know that I want, and then other people are going to want too. There's no way that it fails because of that. As long as I don't say something stupid and turn everybody off, or I'm going to keep being transparent with it. But yeah, we'll hit. I think we've hit 400,000 for the month here today. I want to see 500. Rick tells me getting from 0 to 500 is a lot quicker than the 500 to 1 million. But that's the goal. The goal is to get to a zillion a month. 1 zillion.
I can remember it was April 1st, 2017. Caroline had a softball game. That's my daughter. And we came back to your house for our weigh-in for the first weight loss challenge. And we were talking, and you were super excited because you had just done like $100,000 in a month. And you were super pumped about that. And so it's kind of neat. It's not even 2 years later, and it's 4 times bigger just because of a lot of different things going on. But
yeah, and this is where I've spoken about this on the podcast before. I'm not setting a goal. There is no goal. If I set a goal, then what is that going to do? I mean, if I get there, then what? Do I quit? There's no goal. We'll just call it infinity. And the numbers really don't. The numbers to me, the money, the whatever the margins are at the end of the day on that, the money is not the goal. The money is just the result of the effort. The goal is to continue to be able to chase passion. Decided I wanted to build the subwoofer, and so I figured it's probably of value to share that. Some people will be interested, some won't. By proxy, that ingratiates me to a certain demographic, a certain grouping of people, and then hopefully the sharing of it authentically helps to add some validity to the to the stuff that I'm offering to people, and then to see the numbers and know that what I'm doing is resonating. That's the real humbling part. That's the motivating part to me to chase. Because I've said this a bunch, I'm working harder than I ever have in my entire life, times 5. I like to think I worked hard, but it's really hard to shut it off because it's so much fun, so much fun chasing. But adding another media person, someone to collaborate, like for instance, we're going to create a new shirt every month. I want new shirts. You freaking did it again. How many shirts do you have on underneath that?
Just enough.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a new shirt every month, a new hat every month. I'm going to build out an entire clothing line of awesome stuff, going back to the whole Gildan thing of shirts that, like, I wear the shirt to the gym like once a week, just beat the crap out of them, and they will last for years. And, maybe they won't if you cut it with something, but it's not some piece of junk that you're going to that it's just a novelty, that's a tchotchke. A hat is not a tchotchke hat. It's not a freebie hat. It's stuff that is real apparel, real stuff that you would buy and wear. And so I'm going to create that and chase that. So the numbers, I think, that are inevitably going to get more significant as we make and continue to improve the process of buying the inexpensive pressure washer kits, make it more and more, and we'll do that through feedback, more and more understandable for people to just one click. Okay, this is what I need. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Having an interior package, creating a line of bottles and sprayers that people are going to want. Creating more, like for instance, I want to make better hose reels for people. Making more people aware of things, and then developing better and better improvements to the stuff that we have. And then when I get that all done, I'll go do it in some other avenue, in home theater or car parts or who knows. So I'm going to keep doing that. So the sky's the limit. We need some more space to do it in, but that's the next small evolutionary step. So anyway, that's the story.
All right, that's all the questions we have for now. Appreciate everybody who chimed in with the questions. That does help us kind of drive it. So thank you.
Thanks for the super chat stuff. That's cool. That's humbling. I like to see that people appreciate. So anyway, the next goal for the YouTube channel, let's get it to a couple 100,000 subscribers. And subscribers don't really matter. it's just a nice number to see. It's kind of like the sales don't really matter. It's as long as we sell enough to survive, it's but that's the result of the work, and that some people appreciate. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. I'll probably record a solo podcast here in the next day or two, so stay tuned for that. A topic that I think at least has been rolling around in my head. I've been marinating on, so I'm going to sit and talk to the mic for as long as that takes me, probably an hour or two. We'll be doing more podcast stuff coming up. We're getting there, one step at a time. We finally scheduled this, so I'll probably need to schedule doing some other stuff with interviews and things like that. So anyway, thanks for watching this. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay tuned for more crazy.